I have been tasked with speaking on the role of interlaminar approaches, endoscopic approaches for the higher levels. When we say higher levels, usually in my book, I mean it is a lower dorsal or a upper lumbar levels from D9 to L3. In my book, these are called as the higher levels, or you can say thoracolumbar junction pathologies, where we may usually be dealing with either a degenerative condition like a disc herniation or a stenosis or a combination of both, or it could be an infective pathology like tuberculosis or infective spondylodiscitis. Rarely ever you come across intradural tumors at this region also, but the role of full endoscopy for those is still emerging, though it is started, but it is emerging. So when we do a search that what are the challenges when we are talking about this particular area and we have to treat it surgically, we know that there is an anatomical constraint. You have a higher risk of neurological complication, and there is a diagnostic complexity because many a times you have a lower thoracic herniation, and surgeons are also not very confident whether the symptoms are actually coming from that particular herniation or not. Patients are also giving vague symptoms. Sometimes they have a girdle pain, sometimes they have a different kind of a lower back pain. And then you have a dilemma of surgical selection, which kind of surgical approach, whether anterior, posterolateral, or posterior. So why these challenges are there? Because you have a high spinal cord to bony canal ratio in this region. So there is hardly any scope of retraction or manipulation of the neurological tissues. And there is a very high chance of neurological deficit, especially when you're treating calcified disc herniations or calcified pathologies. And because we are not routinely operating this region, so there could be a little bit of unfamiliarity of the area. Though for thoracolumbar junction lesions or upper level, we normally, when we talk of interlaminar approach, there is a higher chance to need more bone resection and then thus injure the pars. And that is why for most upper lumbar or thoracolumbar junction pathologies, we recommend a transforaminal approach for the reason that it reaches anterior to the spinal cord and lands directly on the pathology. So you avoid handling or retracting the neural tissue. So there is an inbuilt safety with this transforaminal approach. However, there are some situations which may actually warrant an interlaminar approach for such lesions, and that is what we are going to see which kind of approaches to use and how to improvise. So mostly in my hands, these are the two things that I will choose. Either we'll do a translaminar approach, which will be a targeted focused approach, or it could be an interlaminar approach without creating a situation where we don't have to handle the neural tissue. And we'll learn this through a couple of case examples. Now in this case, you have a L3-4 disc going right beyond the L3 pedicle. And what we do in here is we dock the cannula onto the L3 lamina and then drill a hole without violating the ligamentum flavum, and it's a focused and targeted approach towards the pathological lesion only. So this is a small video. We start where the lamina is being drilled from the spinolaminar junction, and as the cortex is opened, then we widen the hole in the lamina using these Carrison punches, and we expose the lateral edge of the dura, and we can see there is a herniation in the axilla of the exiting root. So just keeping the cannula onto the lamina, we don't take it inside the canal, so there is no need for any retraction or manipulation of the neural tissue, and we can safely remove the pathology by having a close magnified view. This is the post-op MRI showing complete removal and just through this small tiny hole in the lamina. Now this is another case example, D10-11 sequestered down migrated disc herniation with ossified ligamentum flavum causing myelopathy. So we can see there is a down migrated herniation going beyond the D11 pedicle, and we also see that there is a thickened and ligamentum flavum from the posterior side adding to the myelopathic picture of the patient. So there is, the herniation is going right on the left side of the pedicle. So on a CT you can see there is some dural calcification, or there is a calcification of the ligamentum flavum, so thus completing the diagnosis of OLF. So in these cases where we are compelled to do a posterior decompression besides removal of the herniated disc, then we can choose interlaminar approach. Otherwise, if it was not a ossified ligamentum flavum, then probably I could have treated them with a transforaminal approach. Now in this case, we dock the cannula closer to midline because we want to avoid injuring the pars and facet, and then we start with the ipsilateral drilling first, then the contralateral drilling. Under close endoscopic magnification, we release the upper edge of the ligamentum flavum from the lamina, then we mobilize gently by teasing with the dissector. So we try to separate the whole flavum in one piece. So this is taken out. Now This is the medial wall of the D11 pedicle. Here we do a medial pediculotomy to create some working space lateral to the lateral edge of the dura. Because we don't want to manipulate the cord here, so that's why we shift our working area slightly laterally. So we create a small pediculotomy here. Now we have got a working space, and you can see without violating or retracting the dura, we can open the forceps along the thecal sac rather than across it. So by doing this, we can remove all these entrapped fragments beneath the thecal sac. Now this is the contralateral side decompressed, ipsilateral side decompressed, fully decompressed, and this is the extent to which we can reach from this side, left side to opposite side, and you can see that the flexible probe is going right up to the lower edge of the pedicle where the herniation was. And this is the post-operative MRI showing complete decompression. And this is all the fragments only taken out from the epidural space, no intradiscal decompression. So to summarize, higher level lesions interlaminar endoscopy, though is a secondary choice as compared to transforaminal, but whenever needed, it can be effectively deployed with some improvisations to provide a good surgical outcome, but we need to be careful about avoiding any pars damage or inadvertent facetectomy, as well as while handling the densely packed neural tissue. Thank you.